What's up, all you fucking smarks, marks, and every wrestling fan in between, good or bad? It's time for the very first episode of Wrestling Recap. I'm your host, Jay Winnipeg Jr., and this is the show where I go through all the important parts of this week's Raw. No filler, no filter, no bullshit. Let's get it started. So this week's Raw was essentially a 3-hour bowel movement. Seriously, I've taken shits with a whole lot more entertainment value than this show did. We kick off Raw with Roman Reigns like we have with the last few thousand Raws, but no big deal. And he was basically going on and on about how he was going to make Brock Lesnar his bitch at the upcoming SummerSlam pay-per-view, and how he wasn't even big enough of a man to come out and face him in the ring right there, right then. And little did you know, Brock Lesnar didn't show up and face him in the ring. And that's kind of going to be the theme for tonight, is baiting Brock Lesnar out into the ring. Baiting him to actually give a fuck about his job. But more on that later. As a little bonus, it was actually kind of cool to see Roman Reigns come out to a positive reception for once. I believe this is the first time I've actually heard the cheers more dominant than the boos this time around. And I'm not saying this is him magically getting over or anything, because he was in fact in front of his home state of Florida, but it was a nice refreshing change compared to the sea of fucking boos that we normally hear when Reigns' music hits. Our first actual match of the night, however, was an Extreme Rules rematch between Finn Balor and Constable Baron Corbin. Kind of sucked, to be honest. Baron Corbin controlled most of the match due to his obvious size and strength advantage over Finn Balor, and eventually ended up beating him clean. And I really don't see what this does for either man. It certainly doesn't propel Baron Corbin to new heights. He's a fucking authority figure. He has no heights to propel to at his current position. And it certainly doesn't do anything for Finn Balor either, as he seems to be still stuck in the proverbial doghouse that the company has him in for whatever reason. I just don't see this feud really going anywhere or helping anyone involved. It's just kind of shit. Next up, we had Natalya accompanied by Ronda Rousey versus Alicia Fox accompanied by Alexa Bliss. Now, all this match really did was to build up more heat between Rousey and Bliss before their upcoming match at SummerSlam, but the match itself was actually kind of okay, with Fox actually picking up the victory over Natalya. But like I said, the real focus was on the Rowdy one, as she continually proves why she belongs in this company. Seriously, I've been nothing but impressed with her since she debuted. Looking forward to her debut match on Raw next week, but I think it's just gonna be like a 30-second squash match. Sorry, Alicia. Oh yeah, apparently Elias and Bobby Lashley are in a feud now. Who this helps, fuck all knows, but that's cool, I guess. Not really. Next. And after that, Braun Strowman lost to Jinder Mahal by countout. I mean, I guess it's cool that it's different than the usual onslaught of formulaic nothingness that has been Braun Strowman's wrestling career since he got over, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Braun Strowman, I guess, and I know he's obviously talented in the ring, but I've just never been that over on unbeatable monster characters. It's just not that fun or believable to me to watch. I don't know, I would apologize, but I'm not sorry for thinking that. I am looking forward to his match with Kevin Owens, though. I hope that changes my mind, and I honestly hope that Kevin Owens takes the contract. Next up, we had the absolute fucking show stealer that was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Like, holy fuck, what a match. These are two top-tier guys at the very top of their game, and this match only magnified that point even more. There's some really fucking brutal and unorthodox wrestling in this match. Like, I don't even know how they pulled off some of the stuff that they pulled off in this match. And if you watched it, you know some of the shit that I'm talking about. Like, I can't even fucking describe it to you. The match ended pretty abruptly, though, with the current Intercontinental Champion, Dolph Ziggler, running in and attacking Seth Rollins, thus ending the match in a disqualification. I would have really loved to have seen a legit finish to this match, but I understand the angle that they're going with and that they want to build up this feud more and more, and they also kind of want to still protect Drew McIntyre for right now. So hopefully this just ends up going places where I can get that satisfying finish that I'm craving right now. And I just also really hope that they do big things with Drew McIntyre. Not saying put the fucking strap on him right away, but please, please, don't fuck this up. Oh. After that, the Revival handily fucking defeated the Deleters of Worlds. And it's really cool to see Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson actually pick up a victory, especially over fucking Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. But the Raw Tag Division is a fucking mess. It's a mess. The Deleters of Worlds, over the span of just a month, have gone from tag team champions to glorified fucking jobbers. Like, seriously, this episode of Wrestling Recap will be longer than their last 4 matches combined. I guarantee you that. And when your tag team champions are a comedic duo and your former champions are nothing but jobbers, what does that say about your division as a whole? I don't know. Hopefully this is the start of the Revival cleaning this industry the fuck up. Or this division, I should say. And in the main event, Sasha Banks and Bayley teamed up to face the Riot Squad in a solid victory. It doesn't mean that I know where they're going with Banks and Bayley, though, because to be honest, it just kind of feels like they pull possibilities out of a hat right before the show starts, and that's just kind of what they go with for the night. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if next week on Raw they rode to the ring in the back of a fucking dragon and then fought people with swords and shields. Like, it's that random, and they don't care that much about what happens to these two. It's fucking mind-boggling how back and forth it's been. And I also think I just cracked the code for WWE's creative team. Huh. Oh, and the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for, but I have been fucking dreading talking about. Brock. Oh, Brock. Brocky, Steven Tyler Moore Lesnar. As I said in the beginning of this episode, this whole Raw was essentially trying to get Lesnar out to the ring to do something. Literally anything. Didn't matter. Just to show up. Just to care. Just to give a shit. That was essentially the whole focus of Raw. Getting even to the point where they threatened Paul Heyman's contract with the company if Lesnar didn't show up. And that's fine. That's dandy. That adds stakes. That adds drama. But this needs to stop. This needs to end, and it needs to end soon. It needs to end now. What needs to end, you may ask? Brock. Brock needs to end. Brock needed to end like a year ago. Every Brock Lesnar match we could have seen or could have hoped to see, we've seen. And they've all been disappointing. Every single one of them. I don't know if Brock Lesnar actually does have a middle name, but if he did, it would be fucking disappointment. But anyway, not to get off track. Actually, yes, to get off track. When your fucking flagship champion doesn't give a shit to the point where he hasn't been seen on TV since April, and his work ethic is so fucking bad that they're now working it into the storyline, something has got to change. For the love of everything, WWE, if you give a shit one single solitary speck of fucking fecal matter about this product, end it. End it at SummerSlam. End Brock. SUX career at SummerSlam. I never thought I would be saying that, especially when Roman Reigns is on the latter half. But please, let it end. And anyway, back to the main point of them trying to get Brock into the ring. He finally does. And what does he do? He F5s Angle, which was pretty cool, and he also attacks Paul Heyman, which makes for a really interesting angle for how they can do things going forward. And if I had to take a guess, which I'm going to take a stab at it right here, is that Paul Heyman is more than likely going to end up backing Reigns at SummerSlam and betraying Lesnar for the L. And to be honest, that sounds like a fucking dream. Oh man, I can't wait to see it. It's gonna be glorious. That's gonna be worth the $60 alone. Alone, that will be worth it. I don't care if every other match is them just taking a shit in the middle of the ring. That will be worth it if I can see that. And that about wraps it up for this episode of Wrestling Recap, the Raw edition. And if I had to give this week's Raw a grade, I would probably give it 4.5 Backwoodsman magazines out of 10. It wasn't that great this week. Hopefully next week is an improvement. Also, don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode of Wrestling Recap, where I talk about this week's Smackdown. Stay tuned for that shit. Until then, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do whatever the hell you guys feel like doing. I've been your host, Lieutenant Rosenbaum, and until then, see you next time.